Have you ever felt stuck? Like you were in a place where no matter what you did, you couldn't move forward? Like you were facing a wall that was just too high to climb? A barrier that seemed insurmountable? I have. We all have. It's a universal experience, one that connects us all. Life throws curveballs. It tests us. Sometimes it feels like the storm will never end. I remember this one time I was just a young pastor and our church was struggling. We were a small congregation trying to make a difference in our community. We were barely scraping by, and then the roof started leaking. I mean, really leaking. Buckets everywhere trying to catch the water. It felt like everything was falling apart. The weight of the world was on my shoulders. We didn't have the money to fix it. Every penny was already stretched thin. I felt the weight of my congregation on my shoulders. They were looking to me for answers, for hope. They were looking to me for answers, for hope, and I felt so inadequate, so powerless. But you know what? Even in that moment of despair, a tiny seed of hope started to grow. It was small, almost imperceptible, but it was there. It whispered, "Don't give up. Trust in something bigger than yourself. Trust that there is a plan, even if you can't see it right now." And that's when I turned to my faith. I held on to the belief that even though I couldn't see a way out, God could. We prayed, we believed, we held on to each other and our faith like a lifeline. And slowly, things started to change. It wasn't immediate, but it was steady. People in our community, some who weren't even part of our church, heard about our situation. They saw our struggle and felt our pain. They came forward with donations, with helping hands. They offered their time, their skills, and their resources. That leaky roof, it got fixed, not by a miracle, but by the hands of those who cared. More importantly, our faith grew stronger. We saw the power of community, the power of coming together. That experience taught me a powerful lesson about the power of faith. It showed me that faith isn't just about believing in something unseen. That's what I want to talk to you about today. The incredible power of faith. The incredible power of faith. The power it has to lift us from our knees and help us climb mountains. The power it has to lift us from our knees and help us climb mountains. To turn our darkest moments into opportunities for growth. The power to change not just our circumstances, but our very lives. To transform us from within and to inspire those around us. We all have mountains in our lives. Some are big, some are small. They come in different shapes and sizes. Maybe it's a financial struggle, a health crisis, a relationship falling apart. Maybe it's the feeling of being lost, unsure of your purpose. Whatever your mountain is, it's real, and it can feel incredibly heavy. But here's the good news. You don't have to carry that weight alone. You were not designed to shoulder these burdens by yourself. That's why God gave us the gift of faith. Faith is not some magic wand. It won't make your problems disappear overnight. But it is the key that unlocks a door to a power greater than ourselves. It's a lifeline that connects us to God's strength, His peace, and His guidance. Faith gives us the courage to keep going when we want to give up. It whispers possibilities when all we see are obstacles. It allows us to tap into a wellspring of hope that never runs dry. Now you might be thinking, that all sounds good, but what exactly is faith? The book of Hebrews describes it this way. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about what we do not see. In other words, faith is believing in something you can't physically see or touch. It's having the audacity to trust that even though you don't have all the answers, God does. Think about it like this. When a farmer plants a seed in the ground, he can't see the harvest yet. But he has faith that if he nurtures that seed, waters it, and gives it sunlight, it will eventually grow into something beautiful. He trusts the process. Faith is like that seed. It starts small, but with care and attention, it can blossom into something extraordinary. But here's the thing about faith. It's not passive. It's not enough to just sit back and say, I believe. True faith requires action. It requires us to move, to step out of our comfort zones, even when we're afraid. Think about the biblical story of Peter walking on water. When Jesus called him out of the boat, Peter didn't just sit there and say, "Oh yeah, I believe you." He took a step. He moved towards Jesus, and in that moment he experienced the impossible. Faith is the blueprint, but action is the construction crew. It's the willingness to take that first step, even if it's just a small one. And as we move, as we act on our faith, We open ourselves up to the miraculous. We create space for God to work in our lives in ways we could never imagine. Now I know what some of you are thinking, Pastor, you make it sound so simple. But faith isn't always easy, is it? And you're right, it's not. Because life isn't always easy. Our faith is constantly being tested. We face giants in our lives. Giants of fear, of doubt, of uncertainty. Giants that tell us we're not good enough, strong enough, or worthy enough. These giants whisper lies into our hearts, trying to convince us that God isn't there, that He doesn't care, or that He's not powerful enough to help us. They point to our past mistakes, our present struggles, and our future uncertainties, seeking to paralyze us with fear and steal our hope. But remember this, even when we face giants, we are not alone. David, a young shepherd boy, faced the giant Goliath. He didn't rely on his own strength, but on the power of God. And we can do the same. There will be times when our faith feels weak, when doubts cloud our minds and we feel lost in a spiritual desert. We might even question God's plan, wondering why He allows certain things to happen. It's okay to have doubts. Even the disciples, those who walked with Jesus, experienced moments of uncertainty. Remember Thomas, who doubted Jesus' resurrection until he saw Him with his own eyes. Doubt is not the opposite of faith, it's a part of the journey. It's in those moments of questioning and wrestling with our faith that we can actually grow stronger. Just like a muscle that grows stronger through resistance training, our faith can deepen when we confront our doubts and seek answers. Don't be afraid to bring your doubts to God. He can handle them. He already knows your heart. He wants you to come to Him with your questions, your fears, and your uncertainties. Jesus told a parable about a mustard seed. He said, "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field. Though it is the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and perch in its branches." Matthew 13:31-32. You see, faith doesn't have to start big. It starts with a single seed, a seed of belief, a seed of trust. It's about taking that first step, even if it's just a baby step. Maybe you're struggling with a particular problem. Start by praying about it. Maybe you're feeling lost and directionless. Begin by reading a passage from the Bible each day. The important thing is to start somewhere. Plant that seed of faith in your heart and watch it grow. So how do we actually plant that seed of faith? How do we cultivate it so that it can take root and flourish in our lives? It starts with a decision to believe, to trust in God's goodness and His plan for our lives. It's about shifting our focus from the problems we face to the God who can solve them. It's about acknowledging our need for Him and surrendering our will to His. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of our need to control everything and trusting that God is in control. Once that seed is planted, we need to water it. We need to nourish our faith so that it can grow strong. And how do we do that? Through prayer, through reading and studying God's Word, and through fellowship with other believers. Prayer is our lifeline to God. It's how we communicate with Him, share our hearts with Him, and draw strength and guidance from Him. Reading the Bible is like food for our souls. It fills us with God's truth, His promises, and His wisdom. And fellowship with other believers is crucial because we need each other. We need the support, encouragement, and accountability that comes from being part of a community of faith. When we water our faith consistently, it will grow stronger and deeper, enabling us to weather any storm that comes our way. Let me tell you something powerful, my brothers and sisters. One of the most incredible ways to water the seed of faith is by sharing our testimonies. When we share what God has done in our lives, we not only strengthen our own faith, but we also plant seeds of hope in the hearts of others. You see, our stories have power. They remind us that we are not alone in our struggles, that God is real and He is at work in the world. Maybe you've experienced a miraculous healing, a financial breakthrough, or a restoration of a broken relationship. Don't keep it to yourself. Tell someone about it. Your story could be the very thing that sparks faith in someone who's losing hope. Remember, every testimony is unique and valuable. Your story is important because it reveals God's faithfulness and love in your life. And when we share these stories, we create a tapestry of faith, woven together by the threads of God's grace and mercy. But sharing our testimonies isn't just about telling stories, it's about living them. It's about becoming a living, breathing example of what faith looks like in action. It's about letting our light shine so brightly that others can't help but see the love of God radiating through us. You see, people are watching us. They're looking to see if our faith makes a difference in our lives. They want to know if it's real, and the way we live our lives can either draw them closer to God or push them further away. So let's strive to live lives that reflect the love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control that are the fruits of the Spirit. Let's be known for our integrity, our compassion, our forgiveness, and our unwavering hope. Let's be living proof that faith changes everything. Now, I know we like to talk a good game about faith, but real faith, the kind that moves mountains, is more than just words. It's about action. It's about putting our faith into practice in every area of our lives, in our homes, our workplaces, our communities, and beyond. James 2:26 tells us, "For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also." You see, faith without action is like a car without an engine. It might look good on the outside, but it's going nowhere. True faith propels us to act on what we believe. It compels us to love our neighbors, to serve the less fortunate, to fight for justice, to be peacemakers, to stand up for what's right, even when it's hard. It's about taking risks, stepping out of our comfort zones, and being the hands and feet of Jesus in a world that desperately needs his love. Now, here's something amazing about faith in action. It has a ripple effect. When we choose to live out our faith in tangible ways, it inspires those around us. It creates a chain reaction of love and kindness that can spread far and wide. Think about it. When you see someone going above and beyond to help a stranger, doesn't it inspire you to do the same? When you hear about someone forgiving a wrong that was done to them, doesn't it challenge you to let go of your own bitterness? Our actions speak louder than words. And when we choose to live lives that reflect God's love, we become beacons of hope, shining brightly in a dark world. We never know who might be watching us, who might be inspired by our example. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Pastor, what if my efforts seem small? What if I can't solve all the world's problems? And you know what? You're right. You can't. But here's the good news. You don't have to. God doesn't expect us to do everything, but he does expect us to do something. He wants us to be faithful with what he's given us, no matter how big or small it may seem. Remember the story of the boy who gave Jesus his 5 loaves and 2 fish? It didn't seem like much, but it was enough to feed thousands. Never underestimate the power of a single act of faith. Never underestimate the impact you can make by simply being obedient to God's call on your life. Every effort, no matter how small, is significant in God's eyes. Every act of kindness, every word of encouragement, every prayer offered in faith can make a world of difference. We've talked about mountains, about giants, about planting seeds of faith and watching them grow. We've explored the beauty of nurturing our spiritual lives, seeing the fruits of our labor blossom into something magnificent. But what about those times when faith feels far away, when the path ahead seems unclear and every step feels like a struggle? When the storms of life rage around us and the waves of doubt crash against the shores of our hearts and we feel like we're barely holding on? It's in these moments of turbulence and uncertainty. What about those dark nights of the soul, when the silence is deafening and the darkness seems impenetrable? When doubt whispers insidious lies, telling us that we're alone, that our struggles are in vain, trying to extinguish the flame of hope in our hearts. We've all been there. We've all faced moments of despair and confusion. We've all experienced moments when our faith wavers, when the foundation we stand on feels shaky, when the weight of our circumstances threatens to crush us. It's in these moments, when the burden feels too heavy to bear, when we feel most alone, and the journey seems endless, that we need to cling to God's promises even tighter. We need to hold on to the truth that He is with us. We need to remind ourselves of His faithfulness, His unwavering commitment to us, His love, and His power. The psalmist writes, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." Even when we can't feel His presence, even when the darkness seems overwhelming, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Even when we can't feel His presence, even when we can't feel His presence, even when we don't understand His ways, God is there. He hasn't abandoned us. Even when we can't feel His presence, even when we don't understand His ways, God is there. He hasn't abandoned us. Even when we can't feel His presence, even when we don't understand His ways, God is there. He hasn't abandoned us. He's walking with us through the valley, carrying us when we're too weak to walk on our own, carrying us when we're too weak to walk on our own. In these moments, we must remember that faith is not about the absence of doubt, but about trusting in God's presence despite it. You see, trials have a way of revealing the true state of our faith. Just like a goldsmith uses fire to purify gold, removing impurities and leaving behind something stronger and more beautiful, God uses trials to refine our faith. Peter writes, "In this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while, if need be, you have been grieved by various trials, that the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ." Our faith isn't meant to be static, unchanging. It's meant to be tested, stretched, and refined through the fires of adversity. And as we go through these trials, as we emerge on the other side, our faith comes out stronger, purer, and more resilient than ever before. The trials we face are not meant to destroy us, but to shape us into the people God created us to be. They're opportunities for growth, for transformation, for drawing closer to God. Now, I know it's not always easy to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Life can be incredibly challenging, and sometimes it feels like the darkness will never lift. We all face moments when the weight of our struggles seems too much to bear, and the path forward is shrouded in uncertainty. When we're going through difficult times, it can be hard to keep moving forward, but that's where hope comes in. Hope is not just a fleeting feeling. It's a powerful force that can sustain us through the toughest of times. It gives us the strength to take one more step, to keep going even when everything inside us wants to give up. Hope is the anchor for our souls, keeping us steady even when the storms rage around us. Just as a ship's anchor holds it in place amidst turbulent waters, hope keeps us grounded. It prevents us from being swept away by the waves of despair and fear. Hope reminds us that this is not the end of the story. No matter how dark the night, the dawn will come. The storms we face are temporary and they will pass. Hope gives us the perspective to see beyond our current circumstances and believe in a brighter future. It reassures us that God is still on the throne, sovereign and in control. Even when everything seems chaotic, we can trust that He has a plan and purpose for our lives, and that He's working all things together for our good. Every trial, every hardship is being woven into a beautiful tapestry that we may not fully understand now, but will one day see in its entirety. Romans 5 verses 3-5 tells us, "And not only that, but we also glory in tribulations, knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance, character, and character, hope." These verses remind us that our struggles are not in vain. They are shaping us, building our character, and ultimately leading us to a deeper, more resilient hope. Knowing that tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance, character, and character, hope. This process is not easy, but it is necessary for our growth and development. Now, hope does not disappoint because it is rooted in the love of God. This hope is not based on our circumstances, but on the unchanging nature of God's love for us. Because the love of God has been poured out in our hearts by the Holy Spirit who was given to us. This divine love fills us with hope, even in the darkest times. Hope doesn't deny the reality of our pain or minimize our struggles. It acknowledges them, but it also points us to something greater. It reminds us that we are not alone and that there is a purpose to our pain. But it also points us to something greater. It whispers, "This too shall pass." It encourages us to hold on, to keep believing and to trust that better days are ahead. It whispers, "This too shall pass." The storms of life are temporary, but the hope we have in God is eternal. God is still in control. He is our shepherd, guiding us through the valleys and leading us to green pastures. And He has a plan for your life that is good. Even when we can't see the way forward, we can trust that He is directing our steps. Cling to hope, my brothers and sisters. Let it be the anchor that keeps you secure in the midst of life's storms. Hold on to it tightly and let it guide you through the darkest nights. Let it be the anchor that keeps you secure in the midst of life's storms. With hope as our anchor, we can face any challenge, knowing that we are never alone and that brighter days are ahead. Now you might be thinking, Pastor, are you saying we should be happy all the time, even when things are tough? No, that's not what I'm saying. Life is hard. There will be times of sorrow, grief, and pain. But even in the midst of those difficult seasons, we can find joy. Not a superficial happiness that depends on our circumstances, but a deep-seated joy that comes from knowing God and trusting in His plan. Nehemiah 8 verse 10 tells us, "The joy of the Lord is your strength." You see, joy isn't the absence of pain, it's the presence of God. It's a wellspring of strength that flows from within, empowering us to face our challenges with courage and grace. When we choose to focus on God's goodness, when we choose to be grateful for His blessings, even in the midst of our trials, we open our hearts to a joy that can't be shaken by our circumstances. My brothers and sisters, I want to encourage you today to look ahead with faith. Don't let the disappointments of the past or the challenges of the present steal your hope for the future. God is not finished with you yet. He has amazing things in store for you, things beyond your wildest dreams. Proverbs 4:18 tells us, "But the path of the just is like the shining sun, that shines ever brighter unto the perfect day." Keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and finisher of your faith. Trust in His promises. Walk in obedience to His word, and watch in amazement as He unfolds His plan for your life, a plan filled with purpose, hope, and an abundance of blessings. Remember, you are not defined by your past mistakes, your present circumstances, or your future uncertainties. You are defined by God's love for you, a love that is unconditional, unwavering, and everlasting. We've journeyed together today, haven't we? We've talked about the mountains we face, the giants that loom large, and those moments when faith feels like a distant whisper. But we've also unearthed something truly powerful. We've rediscovered the unshakable truth that faith, even the size of a tiny mustard seed, can move mountains. It's a force that doesn't rely on what we see, but on what we believe. It's about trusting in God's unseen hand, His unwavering presence, and His perfect plan for our lives. Think about it. When we pray, we don't see the answer with our physical eyes, but we feel it in our spirits. When we face trials, we may not understand the reason in the moment, but we trust that God is using them to shape us and mold us into the people He created us to be. That's the beauty of faith, my brothers and sisters. It allows us to tap into a power that is far greater than ourselves, a power that can heal our brokenness, restore our hope, and empower us to live lives of victory, no matter what challenges come our way. Remember, faith is not a destination, but a journey. There will be mountaintop experiences, moments of pure joy and overwhelming victory. But there will also be valleys, times of testing, and seasons of doubt. It's in those valleys, in those moments when our faith is stretched thin, that we discover its true strength. Just like a muscle that grows stronger through resistance training, our faith deepens and matures when we face adversity head-on, armed with the knowledge that God is with us every step of the way. Don't be afraid of the journey, my friends. Don't be discouraged by the detours or the unexpected storms. Embrace it all. Embrace the highs and the lows, the victories and the setbacks, knowing that each experience, when surrendered to God, is shaping you, molding you, and drawing you closer to the fullness of His plan for your life. Today, I challenge you to take a step of faith. Maybe it's simply whispering a prayer of surrender, releasing your burdens into God's capable hands. Maybe it's reaching out to a brother or sister in need, offering a word of encouragement or lending a helping hand. Or maybe it's finally stepping out in obedience to that still, small voice that's been calling you to a deeper walk with God. Whatever that step looks like for you, don't hesitate. Don't let fear hold you back. Walk in faith, knowing that God will meet you there. Live each day with the confident assurance that you are loved, you are chosen, and you are destined for a life of victory through the power of Jesus Christ. Go forth today and live a life that reflects the boundless love, grace, and power that you have accessed through faith. The world is waiting for your story. Go and make him known.